Welcome back to Trail Trialer, and today we're going to be doing something a little different because we're going to be upgrading my bike. So as you know, this is my Trek Remedy 8 2018. Around this time this video is coming out, I've had this bike about 2 years now and I haven't actually done a single upgrade on it apart from changing the seat. That was it. So I think time is due, needs some upgrades, needs a bit of maintenance, so that is what we're going to be doing. I'm really looking forward to this because, as I said, never done it before, never filmed a video like this before, and yeah, we're going to be upgrading this to make it a killer bike, quite literally. It's going to be epic. Not to say it isn't already because it's a really good bike, but we're going to make it even better. To start with, we're going to be upgrading the rear shock, putting a Super Deluxe on because at the minute it's only got a Deluxe. We're also going to be doing some stuff with the drivetrain to increase the engagement so we don't get that noise anymore. Not this one, because I like that noise, but the other one. So, let's start this off by taking this bike apart. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take parts off the bike, I'm going to give it a good deep clean because that's what it needs. Before we do that, let's take a good long stare at this bike because this is the last time it's actually going to look as it does at the minute. So, let's take a good look. Let's kick this off and start with the drop post, in which I'm going to be installing a Oneup V2. Now, this is a 150mm dropper. Overall, it is actually shorter in length than the current Bontrager seat that's on my bike, so Seatpost. So it's actually better because it's shorter, whereas it's actually got more travel. So my bike only has a maximum travel of about 150mm because it's got a sort of bend in the seat tube. But yeah, this is a great dropper, great value for money. As it says on the back, best value from Enduro magazine, and yeah, great dropper, really looking forward to installing it, so let's get going on installing it. Right, there we go, the new dropper post is installed and she pops. So, let's start putting this bike up in the stand so we can actually work on it with the rest of the parts. So I have to tear down my bike, I have to take every little part off of it, the bearings, everything like that, and the bottom bracket and the headset, all to give it a re-grease and to check it over. The majority of the old parts are going back on, except for of course a few upgrades that we're going to be doing. So you will never find a better opportunity to clean your bike as thoroughly as you can now, because at this point you'll have access to all the bearings, all the hidden parts in the frame you can't usually get to, so this is the best time possible to give your bike that deep clean that it needs and to re-grease all the bearings. And if you don't do this at least once a year, then your bike is never going to be running at optimum. It's never going to be running as good or as smooth as it could be. So definitely this needs to be done at least once a year. But now, let's start upgrading the bike. Let's start putting the first parts on. So next up, we then have our next parts to install, which is going to be our silver Unite Components chainring and our Nukeproof Bashguard. Now I got the Nukeproof one because it was on a really good deal. I managed to pick it up quite cheap actually, so it looks good as well. It's black, so go with the bike. And yeah, so I've opted for a silver chainring because I don't want it to scratch. So as you can see, I have silver pedals. That's because the paint doesn't flake off them. So I'm going to get a silver chainring so that it stays silver and it looks pretty good. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to putting it on and see how it comes out. So there we have it. The chainring is now on the bike along with the new chain guard. They look super good. The silver looks really good against the black bike, and yeah, I am thoroughly happy with this purchase and this upgrade. So here, one of our next upgrades, we have the brand new cassette. Now this is a SRAM GX Eagle cassette, just like the old one. So as you can see, the old one's had it, so that's why we're going to be replacing it today. I'm going to be replacing it with the new SRAM GX cassette, the upgraded 52 tooth one. It's going to be even better, we're going to have even better gears, smoother gear shifts along to go with a new chain. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to installing this. So you might notice I actually still have the old radio on there, and they say that you can't use the old radio with this new cassette, but you can. They just say it doesn't really work too well, but of course they're going to say that because they want to sell a new derailleur. So it does work. I mean, shifting into Eagle gear might not be as smooth as the old one, but I probably only use Eagle gear on my local trails about once or twice a year, if that, so at the minute it's perfectly fine. I'll get a new radio in the end eventually, so it doesn't matter. We're going to be installing this. I'm really looking forward to it, along with of course the hub upgrade from Trek, so let's get going on it. Oh god, oh no. Now, as you can probably tell, something's gone wrong. Now, this is actually afterwards, I'm filming this afterwards, and to cut a long story short, we could not get the old cassette off. So, to start with, when I did this bike build, I wasn't even going to replace the cassette. I was purely just going to keep the old one on, put a new chain on, and yeah, run it as that. However, the old cassette had it. When I put the new chain on, it was skipping and everything, so had to get a new cassette, bought the new cassette, went to take the old one off, and it wouldn't come off. So we've taken it to bike shops, we've taken it to basically everywhere, and we could not get it off because it had been done up far too tight from factory, plus it had obviously seized, and it just wouldn't come off. But luckily I came up with the idea of just buying a new XD driver, in which we've taken the old XD driver with the old cassette off, which is in the box down there. That is fully broken, that's had it. We've bought a new XD driver which has gone onto the new cassette. That's then gone onto the old wheel and the old hub with the new 6 pulls in. So we've still got the upgrade, still got the new cassette, and we've effectively got a new XD driver. But that's a good thing because it means we've got newer components, better. But it's a bad thing because I didn't want to end up spending money on stuff I didn't need to, but it's one of them things. Anyway, let's move on to the shock. That's a bit more hopeful. Now finally, we come to the upgrade I am most excited about, as you can probably tell. The Rockshox Super Deluxe Ultimate. Now this is the top model shock that Rockshox make, air shock that is, and man, I am so looking forward to installing this. As you can see, I have the reactive shock on there at the minute, and it's just not really great, but this is going to be epic. I have had it set up by TF Tune, they have fully set it up for me, done the air pressure, got all the bearings on there, so all I've literally got to do is unbolt the old one, put this one in, and we'll be ready to go, so let's get going on installing this thing. So, fitting a new shock is a really simple process. You simply unbolt the bolts that are at the top and the ones at the bottom, take the old shock out, put the new shock in, just like this, and then yeah, you have your new shock in your new bike, and as long as it's done up tight. So there we have it, the new shock is in. This thing looks really good, and I honestly cannot wait to see how it rides on the trail. So far, the compression and everything looks pretty dialed, so thank you to TF Tune for setting that up perfectly. And yeah, this thing is really, really amazing. Probably the best upgrade I'm ever going to do to this bike. And yeah, so that is it for this shock. So, there we have it. This is my brand new Trek Remedy 8. I'm calling it brand new because it's pretty much got new parts on it. And yeah, this thing is seriously amazing. So we of course upgraded parts of the fork, we've put a new dropper post in, we've rerouted the cable for the dropper post into this side of the frame so that it matches. This is really great. We've done loads of stuff to the drivetrain. We've now got 108 points of engagement, as you can hear. It's pretty good. We've also got a brand new cassette, brand new chainring, Bashguard. Best of all, we've got a new rear shock, finally after 2 years. So this upgrade has been really, really good. I'm so glad that I spent all my money on upgrading this bike because it's really good, and I'm so glad I've done it because this bike is going to feel like a whole new bike now. And I do plan to do some more upgrades potentially in the future, but that won't be for at least a while yet because this bike's perfect as it is at the minute. And yeah, in case you're wondering, I still run a knobby nick tyres just because they're purely perfect for my local trails and local conditions, especially in the summer. I would get grippier ones if we were going to ride somewhere else, but for now, they're perfect, so this bike is perfect. But before we go and hit the trails at my local trail, feast your eyes on my new bike. So we're now here at the local trails, and I've already got some riding in on the bike. Okay, it feels really good. So one thing I noticed is that the new air shock feels really, really good. So on the ups, it's not quite as efficient as the old shock that I have, but on the couple of grade reversals where I went back down, it feels really good. So I'm really excited to try this out properly and to get some proper riding in on this thing. And yeah, everything else on the bike feels pretty dialed, so let's get riding. So there we have it, that is my new bike. It feels so much better. The new shock is amazing. I'm so glad that I did that upgrade. The 108 engagement feels even better. The engagement is instant pretty much, and the forks, they also feel really good, and the bike feels dialed. So I am really thankful for doing this upgrade, thankful to everyone who helped out on it, and yeah, the bike is the best it's ever ridden. You're probably not surprised to hear that, but it is great. I'm really looking forward to riding it again in the future. So that is a wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's taken some time to make it, and it was a first for me, so of course it's probably not going to be the best I've ever made, but anyway, yeah, so that's a wrap to this video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and right, let's go ride.